Hi, I'm Jan, and I'd like to share with you today a little bit about my money journey. And it started decades and decades ago. I found myself as a sole supporter of three little munchkins, and where money was never an issue before that, I then had to get quite smart around money. One income family, it's not as easy as a two income family. So I learnt, I read, I went to Securities Institute, I got my diplomas, did a whole lot of things, and then came across somebody who, well, actually a colleague, who was working with an organisation, and it was basically predominantly women in the organisation, and there were a lot of bonuses involved. So there was this whole sense of, the harder you work, the more money you earn. That was that sort of mentality. And this very visionary woman went along to management and said, look, it's one thing earning money, but why don't we put something in place like have our own superannuation fund, so that women, our people, can start growing money. And I thought that was just so visionary, and she shared that with a half dozen close people, and I was one of those. But the feedback from management was, well, no, you've got to keep them working and hungry. With that response, 4 of us left that organisation, and this wonderful visionary woman then created a company called Women's Investment Network. So we looked at and dealt with money issues like the budgeting, but was more focused on the practical things like what sort of investments were out there. So it was a learning, very much a learning process. From there, and that was super successful actually. It was a wonderful time. It was the early 80s, and women just weren't even in the financial services industry, let alone looking at funds management, which is another arm of financial services. There was a part there where, okay, we came across a lot of clients that said, but I don't have any money to invest. So where do we start? And at the same time, I read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon, and the concept of that, the underlying thesis of that is you don't wait until you've got money, you make a commitment. And in that book it was suggested that you put aside 10 to 20% of your income to your financial future. And we then introduced that as a concept into our teachings, and it had a profound difference. The differences were that there was a commitment, so it was a sense of I'm taking control of my money, it's not the other way around. And that was profound. That was a great outcome. So that was incorporated in all of our training and all the work that we did with clients. And some of you may be thinking, yeah, that sounds too good to be true. I certainly couldn't put aside 10% of what I earn at this point in time. But let me put it to you this way. If you've ever experienced a pay rise of, say, 5%, did you all of a sudden find that you had 5% extra in the bank in your savings? I bet you didn't, because it's a bit like time. You use up what you've got. If somebody was coming to visit with you and they were going to be there in half an hour, amazing how quickly you can get the house cleaned like that in half an hour before they got there. Money sort of has the same energy about it, and it is energetic. So that was a new aspect to what we were doing with people. Then the years went on, and I've always had a passion and an interest and a fascination for human behaviour. And along the way, as I was doing the money thing, I was also then did a master certification in NLP, and that program looked at things like underlying beliefs, etc., etc. And then it dawned on me that that was the missing link. There were, people were doing better, but I was still 30 years down the track. I was speaking to women that were talking about having the same issues that they were talking about 30 years previously that we were dealing with. And that was when I absolutely discovered there was this impactful element called the subconscious that actually had a lot to do with our financial outcomes. And so my Money Makeover program incorporates all of the things that I've learned over the last 30 years. So it's not like you wake up one morning and go, oh, this is a great idea, I'll do this. It tends, for me anyway, it tends to evolve and grow. Another thing I'd like to mention here is that even though the Women's Investment Network overtly marketed to women, a third of the client base I discovered were men. And I thought that's really interesting. So I rang a few, about half a dozen, a handful, just to find out why they came along to the Women's Investment Network for their financial advice. And the answers came back. One, if you're in a male-dominated industry and you've been around for a while, that means that you're pretty good, because otherwise you wouldn't survive. Two, the other point was that they felt like they should know about money because they were men and they were supposed to know. And so there was some embarrassment and shame around that. And the other was they felt much more comfortable talking with a woman around their financial inadequacies. And all of those things make sense. Anyway, I digress. So the program is made up of three main categories, or three main elements. The first one is coined Money EQ, and this is work that we do around our attitudes, around what are the not beliefs, but what's the behavior around money. So it's an attitudinal behavioral thing around money. Also, beliefs, that we'll deal with later, has an impact on behavior as well. But first of all, it's the attitude. So what's the attitude? And we delve into, do you have a business mindset? What are the words that you heard as you're growing up? Was it things like, you've got to work hard for your money? That was one for me. My parents always said, you've got to work hard for your money. And the other thing that was said, if you're wealthy, well, you must have done something wrong to get there. You have to be doing something illegal or ruthless, okay? And which totally is not true. So looking at those attitude, a money attitude, what are the words? Understanding that money is energy. It's if we replace the word energy or the word money with energy, then it has a totally different take on money. So if I mention now, if I replace money, you've got to work hard for your money, okay? You've got to work hard for your energy. Money slips through your fingers. Energy slips through my fingers. When you shift a perspective on something, it also can change the outcome. And the first module of Money EQ also involves looking at change, looking at a change, setting yourself up for success, and what we go through. And it's a learning model that I learned in NLP, and it's starting with, you want to do something brand new, and it's very exciting. It's that shiny new object, and it's going to be so good when you can actually do it. And so that's unconscious incompetence. That stage is when you project having the new skill or doing the new thing without actually going through the process of getting there. So that stage is you don't know what you don't know. The next stage then is consciously incompetent. It's when you start trying to do these new skills. Let's say, give an example, an easy example most of us have been through, driving a car. So initially it's so exciting, you bought the car, or you're going to buy the car, and you can see yourself driving all over the place and having a wonderful time. That is the conscious incompetence. Then you go, or the unconscious incompetence, then you go into being consciously incompetent. So now you start to learn what you don't know. You kangaroo hop, you're learning new skills with the car. It doesn't do what you want it to do. The pedals are not what you thought they were. And there could be a real sense of being disappointed, of being frustrated. And a car is a simple exercise. You know, a new skill like learning how to public speak could be totally different. But let's stick with the car. So now you know what you don't know, and it's a matter of sticking with it. And you get down to that area where you think, I just can't cope with this any longer. It's too frustrating, it's too hard, I don't want to do it. And so you quit, or make another decision that says, no, I'm going to grit this out, I'm going to do this. And then you do itty bitty little steps, and each time you get more competent, you also get more confidence. Competence, confidence, and that builds up. So now you're into solutions mode, you're creating strategies to help you achieve that skill. You're gaining also control, you're gaining more power, and you're feeling more empowered. Then you get to the point where you don't even think about driving a car. It's 12 months down the track, you're putting lipstick on as you're driving. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't absolutely not do that. But you know what I mean. You don't have to think about it anymore. And that is unconsciously competent. So that learning cycle is what we go through every time we learn something new. It's a process. So money management is a process also. The second stage, you need to learn the skills. So the second stage is what I call money IQ, and that's learning all the practical things, the budgeting, the goal setting, the time frames associated with those investment options, and how to do it an easy way, a more complex way. It's completely up to you. It's designed for you to then step through the process, and I step through that process with you, for you to design your financial plan that's specific to you. Don't go through all those details and learn a whole new set of skills. Then the third component is the money blocks. The first two we deal with consciously. The third one we deal with at a subconscious level. We look at what the beliefs are, where they've come from, and then we go do an RTT session within the program to clear away money blocks. And you absolutely an essential components. If we don't clear away the real issues of what are keeping you away, because those beliefs actually create the behaviors as self-fulfilling prophecies. If there's a sense of I'm not worthy, I'll never be wealthy, people like me don't become wealthy, all of these different beliefs will create a behavior, and those behaviors become a self-fulfilling prophecy that match the beliefs. The external will match the internal. We need to tweak and fix the internal for the external to change. So when I came across RTT, I stumbled across RTT, and it was like being home. Marissa Peer is the founder of RTT. It is a combination of the very best bits of other modalities like NLP, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, CBT. And as a clinical hypnotherapist, I know the magic happens in those times, the sessions where we speak with the subconscious to see what's going on. So if there's a journey you want to take, it is a process like many things in life. It's a money process, and each step of the process creates progress. It's self-development, isn't it? So if you want some change with your money relationship, you've got to start being that change.